Hi, everybody. I'm going to be reading off of an article, so the article would definitely be in the description along with my socials. Without further ado, let's jump right in. As anyone who's been through one knows, there's no rule book how to get over a breakup. You might resort to watching the holiday of Midsummer 5 times, hoping you'll magically mend your broken heart. But grieving the loss of a relationship isn't that simple. It involves a roller coaster of emotions, and the path to recover is as unique as your connection was. Habia Jessica Zaman, LPC, a therapist based in Tucker, Georgia, who specializes in trauma, tells Self. Our healing time will depend on factors like the meaning the relationship held, as well as the length of it. Zaman says, especially if you experience any milestones with this person, like you lost your virginity to them, for an example, or they were your first romantic partner you lived with, it could be really challenging to imagine your life without them, she says. If you're reading this in hopes of being happily single by tomorrow, we're truly sorry to say there's no such quick fix. That said, there is good news. You will feel like yourself again and be better off in the end. You broke up for a reason, and there are things you could do to gradually find your way back to happiness, aside from sobbing into your best friend's shoulders, calling emergency meetings with Ben and Jerry, which, yes, can provide some legit temporary relief. Here are some accountable steps you can take to make this journey just a little less unbearable. Step 1. Give yourself permission to feel your feelings. Anger, emptiness, confusion, grief. These are some things these are some very valid and extremely uncomfortable emotions that people often try to dodge after a relationship ends. A very misconception is that people believe they have to stop thinking about the pain or stop dwelling on it to be happy and move on. Sarah Guando, the New York based clinical psychologist and assistant professor at the Econ School of Medicine at Mount Sinai Hospital, tells Self. But you actually have to feel and process your feelings in order to understand and accept what has happened. One way to create space for this reflection and wallowing is to set a timer for 10 to 20 minutes and just sit or lie there. Feel whatever you're feeling and think whatever you're thinking with curiosity, not judgment. It's called emotional acceptance, and it's real. Many of us don't realize the relief that comes with not denying or suppressing our true emotions any longer, as Self previously reported. And remember, you're not just mourning the loss of a relationship, but also the hopes and expectations you had for your future. Maybe you dreamed of moving in together or starting a family with this person. So give yourself grace and compassion during this difficult and confusing time, Dr. Guando advises. Step 2. Reconnect with things that make you happy. It's easy to become so engrossed in condom that you abandon the simple pleasures you used to enjoy on your own, like bed rotting with a steady steam of comforting Netflix shows or baking a batch of your signature banana muffins. To be clear, people shouldn't be ignoring their hobbies or stuff that brings them joy just because they're in a relationship, Dr. Gondo says. But of course, it's possible you may have to put some of your solo interests on the back burner, but you haven't hiked in a while because your significant other is such a homebody. Or perhaps you pressed pause on your bedside guitar sessions when you started sleeping at their place every night. Instead of dwelling on what's lost, it can be helpful to reframe this period as an opportunity to reignite your personal passions. Andrew Lehner, PsychD, a Denver-based clinical psychologist who specializes in breakups, tells Self. Or better yet, step out of your comfort zone with a new hobby, like learning a new language or making shifty crafts, think of it as a chance to date yourself and rediscover what truly lights you up and your life, Dr. Liner says. Step 3, focus on creating new memories. It can be really tough to stop by your go-to coffee shop, listen to your favorite playlist or podcast, or visit that nearby park without the person you used to do those things with. Fixating on the past is a natural part of the breakup experience and one that can tug at your heartstrings, which is why it's important to make new memories that aren't tied to your former partner. So rather than visiting that old date night spot you used to frequently with they who shall not be named by yourself, for an example, invite a group of friends to join you. Sam Boylan, LCSW CEO of the Linthicum Counseling Center in Linthicum, Maryland, tells Self. This way, you can indulge in that spaghetti carb whatever that says, X free, and still with great company. You can also look for some new go-to places that don't remind you or your former partner every 5 seconds. Boylan suggests we're just going to leave these fun solo dates ideas here for you. Step 4, don't wait for closure before letting yourself move on. Perhaps you're expecting an apology for the way things ended, or maybe you're hoping they'll reach out to elaborate on why they suddenly lost feelings. Unfortunately, you may never get the sorry or explanation you're seeking, which is why your recovery shouldn't be dependent on that closure. Instead, your perception of why it ended is what is most important. Terry or Boch. Okay, I'm just gonna skip these big titles because I don't know how to say these titles. I'm sorry. But yeah, a professor at the University of Oakland who researches interpersonal relationships and author of A Simple Steps to Take Your Marriage from Good to Great tells Self. So rather than waiting on your ex to tie the relationship up in a bow, doctor recommends examining the partnership more holistically and particularly paying attention to your compatibility or lack therefore of. Think about why exactly things didn't work out, she suggests. Maybe you have totally opposite communication styles. You're reserved, they're confrontational. Or perhaps you wanted completely different things for the future. Getting clear on the reasons the relationship ended is all the closure you need. While playing the blame game or getting hung up on the idea of resolution can get you and keep you stuck in a cycle of resentment, doctor says, which will make it even harder to let go and heal. Step 5, think twice before hooking up with your ex post-breakup. Oh, and speaking of ending things on a healthier note, don't booty call your ex. Fine, we shouldn't tell you what to do, and every breakup is unique, but that steaming post-breakup sex will probably just be confusing and keep your relationship or lack therefore in a state of limbo, Dr. Gondel says. And in order to get real closure, you need to actually end it. Step 6, give yourself some space from the relationship. Many of us hope we can stay good friends or at least be cordial with our ex-partners. After all, we spent weeks, months, or years getting to know and love them and their little quirks. However, setting boundaries is important for truly embracing a fresh beginning. Michael Decker, LMFT, owner and therapist of Vista Counseling in Temple, Arizona, tells Self. A good start is to reduce communication to only what is necessary. In other words, keep the conversation limited to specific things like getting your stuff back, then end the discussion. Or even better, consider appointing an intermediary like a mutual friend or family member to be your proxy for arranging logistics temporarily, Dr. Leaner adds. There isn't a one-size-fits-all recommendation for whether or not to delete an ex's number or when to block them on social media. For what it's worth, though, one study found that people who continued to be Facebook friends with their ex experienced more distress, negative feelings, and sexual longing. Just be mindful on how keeping the option of contacting is open. The option of contacting them open is affecting you, Decker says. If their cheerful selfie is sending you into a spiral, or you're constantly fighting the urge to stalk their profile for a relationship status update, those are signs that it's time to limit your access to them or go no contact altogether. At least you're in a better place. Step 7. Jotting down all of your honest feelings, even the really ugly and intimate ones, and directing them towards the person who caused your heartbreak can help you make sense of the complicated thoughts and unanswered questions lingering in your mind, Dr. Birch says. Basically, get all of what you want to say on a paper or even on the notes app in your phone, Dr. Birch suggests. Rather, that includes how you'll cherish them as your first real love, say, or conversely, how you're now seeing all the red flags. She also recommends deleting or throwing the letters away rather than hitting send or hand delivering it to their doorstep. The goal isn't necessarily to contact your ex, Dr. Birch explains, which could again delay the healing process and prevent both of you moving forward. Rather, point is to liberate yourself from the weight of unresolved emotion and unspoken words. Think of it as a exercise, a safe space to say any and everything you're feeling. Step 8. Surround yourself with as many supportive people as possible. Sure, during the early stages of a breakup, when you might be feeling too hurt and overwhelmed to talk to anyone, withdrawing from those around you is a natural reaction, Dr. Gundo says. Still, it's important to remember that the ones who love you are safely net during difficult times, and they can provide support in ways that only those who really know and love you can. A common reason why lots of people hesitate to ask for help, according to Dr. Lanier, is fear of burdening or annoying their networks. Obviously, your best friends are, well, your BFFs for a reason. But if you're still worried you'll bother them, here are some expert-approved healthy ways to vent. Step 9. Don't be afraid to contact the friends you lost touch with. Okay, maybe you kind of ghosted your buddies when you were in the thick of a whirlwind romance, or maybe you had a toxic partner who didn't want you spending time with anyone else but them. Either way, there's no shame in reaching out now and owning your mistakes if you need to, Dr. Lanier says. For an example, you might say, I know I stopped prioritizing our friendship while I was in my relationship and I regret that. I'd love a chance to reconnect with you if you're open to it. Or, I really got caught up in having a significant other and now see that it wasn't cool of me to disappear on you like that. Step 10. And gets rid of any physical reminders of your ex. The healthiest coping mechanism is getting rid of everything associated with this person. According to Zaman, that doesn't necessarily mean trashing everything they touch. For an example, it might be time to finally delete those old texts or saved voicemails. The keeping your that three, whatever that says, to the hope of getting back together. Constantly revisiting these old memories can hinder your ability to move on with your life without this person in it, Zarmon says. 11. Or at least hide those memories. It's also completely understandable if you're not ready to part with all the stuff that's tied to them. Maybe you want to keep the expensive necklace they got you for your birthday, or the concert ticket stub from your first date. For an example, in those cases, Decker suggested stashing these memories in a box, out of sight, until your emotions have died down. That way, you can make less impulsive decisions about what to do. And if you're still tempted to dig out your ex's old t-shirt that you always slept in, ask a trusted friend to either hide or hold onto it for you. Step 12. Don't pressure yourself to date again if you're not ready. Being single again might seem scary. However, jumping into a rebound relationship too soon, Decker says, can backfire when you haven't fully processed the breakup. This can lead to additional stress and regret that will further complicate the healing journey, she explains. So how do you know when it's time to hit dating apps again? The short answer: when you consistently experience more positive emotions than negative ones, such as you often find yourself laughing and feeling more yourself, Decker says. Another positive sign is when you consistently think of your past love life without strong reactions like intense anger or sadness. Now, you may very well find the one or just have a great time hooking up even while you're still in pain. Ultimately, though, dating will feel best if you're looking to genuinely enhance your life, not just fill the void of loneliness. Step 13. Consider finding a therapist if you don't have one already. We understand that therapy isn't accessible to everyone, but having an unbiased, neutral third-party observer as an instrumental in gaining a deeper understanding of what happened, what your role was, and how you can learn and grow from it as you pursue future relationships, Dr. Lanier says. Aside from offering you a safe space to express yourself, a therapist can also teach you effective strategies for coping with stress, anxiety, sadness, or low self-esteem. Through the therapeutic process, you'll also gain self-awareness necessarily for forming healthy romantic partnerships down the line, Dr. Gondel says. As at what point exactly is it time to call in a pro? As a general rule of thumb, according to Dr. Gundel, after a month or so of not feeling any better means you're still overwhelmed by intense emotions or continuing to isolate yourself from friends and family, she says. However, you should definitely seek help ASAP if you're in extreme distress, as in you're not eating or sleeping, missing or struggling at work, experiencing major changes in mood or personality, or having intrusive or suicidal thoughts, Dr. Lanier adds. Not sure how to go about getting mental health help? Well, there's many guides for that online. Step 14. Finally, try to be patient and trust the process. Last but not least, it's important to be realistic and note that the pain won't go away overnight, no matter how diligently you follow the above advice. So as best as you can, just take it one day at a time, Dr. Obruch suggests. It's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel right now, but we promise you'll feel like your wonderful self again eventually, and knowing that you can get through hard things that might make you stronger than ever. If you are struggling with feelings of depression, and need someone to talk to, you can get support by calling National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988 or by texting HOME in caps to 741-741, the crisis text line. If you're outside the United States, there's so many lists of suicidal hotlines online. Stay tuned for more informational articles like this. See y'all next time.